So ask yourself, has self-doubt stopped you from having the ability to make a decision, or the confidence to start something new, or better yet, even to see how brilliant you really are? Today, I have 7 tips, and we are going to tackle self-doubt so that we can stop silently sabotaging ourselves. Welcome back to Pinebrook Homestead. My name is Marie. If you are new here, welcome. If you're returning, I'm glad to see you back for another Monday Reset. So self-doubt is the lack of faith in ourselves, and it can be a vicious cycle that goes on silently in our heads, and it does sabotage us. So where do we start with self-doubt? Well, the root of self-doubt is fear. Okay, so fear can manifest in many different ways. We can have fear of failure. We can have fear of success, fear of loss, fear of change. I know I'm not a big person who likes change. We can have fear of intimacy or being judged. We can have fear of the unknown, loneliness, rejection, or not even being good enough. And self-doubt stems from all of these fears. But what can we do? I think we need to first recognize what fear is actually holding us back. I would say my biggest fear right now is fear of failure. Yeah. With this YouTube channel, being a failure as a mom or a wife, I have always strived, very type A personality. I've always strived to be the best that I could possibly be, and that was very much ingrained in me. And at times, it was very detrimental to me. I created a lot of stress for myself. Trying to be the best at everything I did not bode well for me. So yet I move into this new phase in my life, and fear of failure is real. I don't want to fail. But, that's the stem of my fear. So what is the stem of your fear? Could it be fear of change? Could it be fear of being judged? Fear of failure like me, or even the fear of succeeding? So once we navigate what that fear is, that is kind of like the first step. So really look inward if you're struggling with self-doubt, and maybe start journaling and trying to figure out what the stem cause of that fear is. Because once we know what the fear is, what are we so afraid of, then and only then we can take the next steps to stop our self-doubt. So I've got my notes here today, and I've got my tea. Oh, it is so cold again. We woke up to 16 degrees. I have to tell you, I cannot wait for spring. So once we have what our fear is, let's tackle the self-doubt. So let's tackle fear of failure. My fear, some of the things that might go through my head, most of the time they do, am I good enough? Well, I'm gonna ask, is that fact or is that fiction? So if I'm telling myself I am not good enough, I would say that would be fiction, because we're never gonna know if we're good enough unless we try. And the more that we do this, the more that we try, guess what? We get better every single time. So I would claim I'm not good enough would be in the fiction. Now, let's say what you're telling yourself is, I don't have enough knowledge. I don't have enough knowledge to go forward with that. Well, that can be a fact. Maybe you don't have enough knowledge. But here's the thing, we can learn. We can devour information, we can read, we could take a class, we could do whatever we need to do to move us to where we can say, I now have the knowledge to press forward in this area of my life. So whatever your self-doubt is, and stop yourself. When you hear that going on, just stop yourself and ask, is what I'm telling myself fact or is it fiction? And start there. Now, I have 7 tips that are going to help. So the first one that we are going to tackle, the first tip is to be mindful of what you're telling yourself. So when those thoughts start just parading in our minds, we need to stop them, get in the present, stop the thoughts, and ask ourselves, what am I saying? Just stop ourselves. Are we saying kind things to ourselves, or are we doing the negative self-talk? You know, self-doubt, it's tough and it's vicious and it's all up here. How many times have you ever had a doubt about yourself and you shared it with somebody, and that somebody probably looked at you and said, you're crazy, you're good at that. Why would you think that about yourself? Why would you think you're not a good mom? Why would you think you're not this? It's that negative talk. So what can we do? Well, we can replace it with positive self-talk. So we're going to replace it with good things to say about ourselves. Go back with our I ams. I am a great mother. I am a good wife. I am a positive person. I am a child of God. I am, and make those affirmations. So when that negative self-talk is going on in the head, you can stop it and just start your positive affirmations and start there. The other thing that I have learned, and this is very powerful, very, very powerful. So I am working on loading up on scripture. I am working on loading up God's promises that he has for all of us. And so when I hear that negative self-talk, I will pull myself into the present, and I will either pull my Bible out, read some scripture, I'll go back to those verses, I will have some verses memorized. And I actually typed out a couple for you. So these are some verses that really help me when I'm in that self-doubt mode of thinking I am a failure. So Matthew 21, 21 and 22. So Jesus answered and said to them, assuredly, I say to you, if you have faith and do not doubt, you will not only do what was done to the fig tree, but also if you say to this mountain, be removed and be cast out into the sea, it will be done. And whatever things you ask in prayer, believing, you will receive. That is just so powerful. God's promises are awesome. Proverbs 3, 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. You know, I focus daily now. This never was the case before. And I'm evolving tremendously in my faith, which is really helping in my self-doubt. But I find that, and I know I've said it before, if I stay in the presence right now with this beautiful candle, with my warm cup of tea, with you, if I stay in the present, And I don't allow my mind to just head off in all sorts of different directions. And I lock and load myself with scripture each day, that all that doubt and fear, God does take it away. He really, really does. So that's my first tip, is make sure you know what you're saying to yourself. Get rid of the negative self-talk. When you catch yourself doing it, then put a positive self-talk in there or a scripture. So see if that helps. The other thing, or number 2 to do, is to practice self-compassion. So we are so tough on ourselves, way tougher on ourselves than we are on anybody else. I've always thought to myself, when I'll catch myself saying something, I'm like, wow, I would not go up to a friend or a stranger and say that. So why would I say it to myself? We really need to be more compassionate. A lot of us are in our 40s, maybe even our 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. We've lived different areas of our life and seasons of our life. And with those seasons, yeah, we've made mistakes. Absolutely. Who hasn't? But we also learn from those mistakes. Some we regret, but we learn from those mistakes. And when we're so hard on ourselves, look at everything we've accomplished. We have accomplished great things. Some of us might have grown children and grandchildren. Well, we raised them. They got to 18 and they're all doing well. You know, we just have to really be a little bit more compassionate with the season that we are in. So that's number 2, practice self-compassion. Give yourself some grace, give yourself a break. We're not gonna do everything perfectly every single time, even if we have that little bit of perfectionism in us. And that'll be another video, because do I struggle with that one sometimes. All right, so number 3, this is something that I find women do more than men. So we are going to avoid comparing ourselves to others. Now, if you're like, oh, that's difficult, how can I do that? Well, one of the things that I have found is that not being on social media and seeing everybody's Pinterest perfect home or Pinterest cooking or Pinterest clothing or Facebook or Instagram or all of that. Oh, there goes the pups. My little watchdogs. Yes, they are. But I found if I detox from social media, I don't have that ability to really compare myself, because I'm focusing in on myself, my home, my family, and the channel. So I try to stay away from that as much as I can. Now, I do get a lot of recipes off of Pinterest, but just sitting there mindlessly scrolling and comparing myself when I have self-doubt filling my head, that's like a recipe for disaster. So, number 4, find your strengths. What are you good at? So if you're doubting yourself, that you're not good enough, but what are you good at? And focus on those. Maybe pick up that old hobby, or make that delicious meal for your family, or start walking again if it's warm enough where you are, or what are your strengths, and zero in on those and try to make sure that you're doing something every day that is one of your strengths, because that will build that confidence and faith in yourself as well. So number 5, develop a growth mindset. So what do I mean by that? Well, if we're not growing, we're kind of dead, at least dead in our soul. So find something that you want to grow in. Maybe it is your faith. Maybe it is in your skills of cooking, or maybe it is in your job and you want a promotion, or maybe you want to learn something new. If we're always learning, and we'll make mistakes and stumble, you know, maybe the ham I cooked last night didn't come out as moist as I wish it would have, but we're all going to make mistakes. But as long as every day we do one thing to continue to grow our knowledge, grow ourselves, then it's going to help. And once you learn and grow something new, your self-doubt will go away. I promise. And then 6, we are going to celebrate our small wins. So when you learn that something new, maybe it's photography, post some of your pictures, share them with others. Maybe it's crocheting and you've now crocheted a baby blanket. Celebrate those small wins. They are important. Every day we need to realize that we are brilliant women. Brilliant, we are. And God gave us this life. And He doesn't want us to doubt Him or doubt our abilities. He wants us to go forward. He wants us to grow. He wants us to share. So celebrate those small wins. And then number 7, the last. I talked about living in the present, but live in today with a life of gratitude. Gratitude makes everything better. When we are doubting ourselves, be grateful for yourself. Be grateful you're healthy. When we have doubts of our job, be grateful you have the job. When we have doubts on trying something new, be grateful that you have the ability to come up with this idea to go forward in your new adventure. Gratitude is probably the strongest emotion that we can actually exercise every day from the moment our feet hit the floor. There's so many things to be grateful for. And if we live in the present and we stay grateful, we won't doubt ourselves so much. You know, as women, God has given us this ability for all of these emotions. And I know there's a lot of them. And He speaks in the Bible of a lot of doubt and having faith in ourselves and faith in Him. But, you know, good old Eve and that apple, I swear that's where all these things have stemmed from. But stay true to you. Be good to yourself, because you are brilliant and you are beautiful and you can do anything you want to do. Just be grateful, stay in the present, talk kindly to yourself, and have compassion for the brilliant, beautiful woman you are. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope I gave some value in this message. I hope somebody out there is helped and can write down these steps and stay with me. Leave me comments and let me know how you're doing, or let me know, is self-doubt something that you struggle with? I would love to hear from you. So I'm going to continue on with my Monday reset. I've got some housework to do and get this video up for you. And I just thank you all for joining me. I really do appreciate all your comments when you subscribe and you like and you share the videos. You guys are awesome. So don't doubt yourself. You all are amazing, amazing people. Till next time.